Greetings, children, and welcome to my chamber. My name is Rotherick Gastblood, and I'm your host of Tales from the Dark Chamber. This week, we have a great show for you. Tales to make your skin crawl. Each week, my chambermate and I read a scary tale that we found on the internet, or perhaps left under some corpse. Either way, we think you're going to like it, and we're just dying for you to hear it. So sit right back, light a candle, and let's have a ghoul evening. Oh, what a lovely stench. Woody, what are you doing now? Have you turned into a ghoul like me?
Oh, hey, Rotherick. No, I've been getting into a new hobby. Taxidermy.
So, you're a ghoul?
What? No. Taxidermy is when you take something deceased, skin it, preserve the skin, and apply it to a form in the shape of the animal it came from. It's like keeping a trophy of something you hunted.
Right. You're a ghoul.
No, not at all. These animals were taken by hunters, and they want me to preserve them so they can be displayed.
Hunters? They don't just dig them up?
Well, no, not normally. Hunters take the animals in a hunt. Sometimes these animals are displayed in stores, museums, and sometimes even bars and pubs.
Really? So what if I were to get into taxidermy?
Rotherick, let me say that no one will want a taxidermied corpse, just so you'll know. We don't taxidermy people.
Oh, certainly no. That's not what I was thinking. Naturally not humans. Other animals maybe. But it does smell, I mean, look like a wonderful hobby. And the basement here is the most excellent place for you to ply your newfound skills. Anyhow, enjoy yourself. Let me know if you need any pointers.
Will do. And that reminds me of our story tonight. Tonight we continue with our story, ToMmY, where Sarah and Danny, her son, have moved into the old Harrison house. Danny stumbles onto a secret in the house, and tonight we read part 2 of ToMmY. Enjoy. ToMmY, a Portland, Maine series by Medic Man, Part 2. Local Portland workers harvested the wheat for commerce each year and kept up with the house, for it served as a historic site to the city. So there it lay, waiting for a resident to once again bring life to its grounds. Dead center of the wheat field, Sarah noticed something mounted up sluggishly on a wooden cross. It was slightly blowing in the soft breeze. She squinted her eyes and noticed it was a scarecrow. It must have been from the old owners. She walked to the rear of the car and lifted up the hatchback to start the dreaded unpacking process. The moving truck was due to arrive that evening, and Sarah was anxious to get it done. Danny was still sulking in the back seat as she removed boxes. "Hey, you!" she called out. Danny didn't budge. She let out a sigh and opened his door. He looked up at her and removed his headphones. "Hey, we're here," Sarah said happily. "Yeah, great," he replied unenthusiastically. "Danny, I know this is a big change, but look around you. It's beautiful out here. Just please give it a chance, will you? I'm really trying here. I could use your support right now." He ignored her and got out of the car to stretch. He looked around, unimpressed with his new home. It was a stupid thing. Why on earth would his mom buy a farm? She knew nothing about farming. She wasn't a farmer. He sure as hell had no interest in it. He wanted to go home. He surveyed the field around the house. His eyes stopped at the cross in the field. "Cool, huh?" Sarah replied, looking at him. "What's that?" he asked, pointing to the figure blowing in the wind. Scarecrow, I think. Like the ones we made for your art class that one time. It's creepy, he said. Danny put his headphones in his pocket and made his way towards the figure in the center of the field. He crossed the wheat field, and as he grew closer to the figure, a nasty smell whipped past his face for a brief moment. He cringed and continued to the figure. As he approached, he noticed that it was, in fact, a makeshift scarecrow. It was poorly hung, secured by 2 ropes that formed an X across its chest. Its head was made from a dirty old burlap sack with 2 holes cut out for eyes. The cross was tilted slightly to the left, forcing the scarecrow's head to tilt left with its face pointing towards the ground. Its body was made from an old black and red flannel sweater. It was buttoned up, its arms lazily sagging over the arms of the cross at the elbows. The sweater ended in a pair of thick gray farming gloves used for hands. The dirty washed-out jeans hung from its lifeless body. It ended in an old pair of untied black steel-toed boots that swayed with the wind. It was indeed creepy. It looked very old. From a distance, it could pass as human. It was stuffed well, giving it a lifelike figure. Danny got goosebumps watching its head bob left with each passing breeze. "Mom, it looks real," Danny yelled back at his mother, who was already moving boxes to the front porch. An old rusted pitchfork was stabbed into the dirt beside it. Danny knew it was best to leave it be. He heard his mother talk about rusted things and how sick you can get by them. "Danny, be careful," his mom yelled back at him. He waved to her to signal he heard her and turned his focus back to the scarecrow. Something was hanging from its neck. It looked like an old necklace. He gently slid it over its head to examine it closer. It was a locket of some sort, the old gold ones he had seen in movies before. His fingers were too sweaty to pry it open, so he placed it in his pocket instead. As he made his way back towards the car, he saw an older woman wobbling up the path to the farm using a cane. She smiled and waved to them as she approached. "Look, Danny, the neighbors are already greeting us. See, I told you this is a great place," Sarah said cheerfully. "We have neighbors?" he replied. "Hello," the older woman happily yelled out. She was fatigued from the walk up the path. "I thought I saw someone drive up here. Forgive me, my eyes aren't what they used to be. I'm Julia. I live just down the road there. Are you the new owners?" "Yes, we are. Hi, I'm Sarah, and this is Danny." "It's very nice to meet you," Sarah said, shaking the old woman's frail, soft hands. Danny shyly stepped behind his mother and peeked his head out cautiously. He wasn't one to take to strangers, especially old ones with nasty yellow teeth. They reminded him of corn. "Oh my, look at you! Aren't you a sight for tired old eyes?" she said, laughing. "Danny, where are your manners?" Sarah said. "Oh, it's quite all right. I'd be afraid of an old hag too, just stumbling upon me. I don't look like much now, but mind you, son, boys like you would chase me all over these farmlands," she giggled softly. "So you're from here?" Sarah asked. "Oh, yes, dear. Born and raised. Yes. These old bones have had their share of labor, I assure you." "How wonderful! Danny, maybe she could show us some fun things to do," Sarah cheerfully said. Danny didn't speak. Instead, he gave the old woman a shy, weak smile. "Yes, yes. If these lands could speak, they would tell tales." This was once a flourishing place. The old Harrison farm was quite a place indeed. "I'm just happy to see someone willing to bring life back to the old place," Julia said, tapping her cane into the dirt. "You knew the Harrison family well?" "I did, yes. I was good friends with Thomas. He was old man Harrison's boy. They were a hard-working bunch, they were. God-fearing family, the Harrisons, yes. It's a shame what happened. With the boy and all," Julia croaked. There was a sadness to her voice. "I'm sorry?" Sarah asked, confused. "Oh, dear. You don't know? Well, I've said too much already then. You don't need to hear a bunch of sad old news from me." "What happened?" Sarah asked, ignoring Julia's passiveness. Young Thomas, he came upon a bout of unfortunate luck. He fell ill one winter, and old man Harrison became stricken with grief when he passed. Yes, they weren't quite the same after that. Became a shut-in and let the farm go to waste. What about the scarecrow? Danny squeaked, pointing towards the field. Julia casted her eyes to the field. Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I don't remember Harrison making scarecrows. The state has been using the field sweets since the family passed away. My guess is they put that god-awful thing there to scare away any animals. Should we be worried about animals? Sarah asked. Oh, no, dear. No vermin besides the usual bugs, and maybe foxes wander around. It's uncommon. You needn't worry. Well, I just wanted to say hello, and I do hope you'll pay a visit sometime. It tends to get awful dark around here come nightfall. Yes, I better get while I can. Rain's due to come in, and let me say it's about time. The drought has overstayed its welcome. Sarah looked into the sky and saw no dark cloud above. Did you say rain? She asked. Oh, yes. It will rain. Always does the evening my joints start acting up, and my knees are hurting something fierce. Never get old, Sarah. Never grow old. You take care now. It was very nice to meet you. Bye, Danny, Julia waved. Danny flashed a quick wave and scrunched his forehead. The sun was beating down hard, and the air was starting to get thick. He was all ready to go inside. The pleasure was all mine. Thanks for stopping by, Julia, Sarah said. Julia made her way back down the path to the road, and Sarah handed Danny a box. Here, and then made her way towards the house. Danny followed at her heels, all while grunting. The front door opened up wide, and stale air from the inside hit Danny's nose like a punch in the face. It's a beautiful home. We got it cheap because it's so far out from the city. We were lucky. I know it's a little old, but we will make this place amazing in no time, Sarah said. Danny dropped the box to the floor and wiped dust from the baseboard. Yeah, sure. Why don't you explore a bit? I'll bring in the rest of the boxes. It'll be fun. You can pick which room you want. Once we get the stuff here this afternoon, we'll start unpacking completely. This is going to be a good thing, Danny. I know it. The house was old. The floorboards creaked as he took slow steps across the foyer and into the main living room. Cherry oak floors extended to the wide wooden staircase that led to an upstairs hallway. The living room was rather bare, with double-pane windows that looked out into the wheat field. Danny can tell this house was once beautiful. Dust had lightly showered the curtains and walls. The large stone fireplace rested in the west corner of the living room. To the right of the stairs was the hallway that extended into the kitchen, laundry room, and basement. Danny decided to find his room upstairs while his mom got settled. Over the next half hour, Danny left no stone unturned as he explored uncharted territory. The rooms were simple. He had chosen the room across the master bedroom. He wanted to be close to his mom. He missed his dad. He understood why they left, but he couldn't help wondering what he was doing, if he'd ever call. He hadn't yet. His dad wasn't the same since the accident. Danny pulled the blinds up and exposed the backyard. He noticed a tree in the far left side of the land with an old tire swing. In the middle, he noticed a stone well. An old wooden frail frame rested over it with a rope. Danny guessed it was once used to draw water. Maybe he would explore it later. He made his way downstairs and the front door was open. A draft was blowing leaves inside the foyer. His mom had managed to stack a bunch of boxes inside the doorway rather quickly. She had bursting energy since she arrived. He tried to act happy, at least for her sake. It was hard, though. This was the last place he wanted to be. He walked down the hallway and past the kitchen to another set of stairs. It seemed a bit different from the rest of the house. It almost looked like it was newer than the rest of the house. The stairs were cleaner, and the wood wasn't the same color. Another strange thing Danny had noticed was the door. It looked thicker and made of steel with 3-inch reinforced steel hinges. It resembled a tornado shelter door, except Maine didn't have tornadoes, right? He slowly approached the door and grabbed onto the handle. He was surprised to not find it locked. It opened slowly, letting a long, creaking noise that echoed down into the darkness. This must be the basement, he thought. A stale, musty smell was strong. It smelled familiar, like his old school's locker room. It was damp, unlike the rest of the house. Danny felt around for a light switch. His hand glided against the moist stone, and he pulled back empty-handed. He decided he would need a flashlight. He retreated back to the stack of boxes his mother had placed in the foyer and removed the top 2 boxes. He opened the one labeled Miscellaneous and started digging through until he found his black LED flashlight his father had given to him. He returned to the eerie basement door and clicked on the light to reveal yet another set of stairs. These stairs were wooden. They looked flimsy and sharply curved to the right. Danny's heart started beating faster. He hated basements, but he had to know what was down there. His imagination started running wild as he thought of monsters lurking in the shadows. He shrugged away such thoughts and made his way down. As he stepped, the stairs bowed under his weight. He could tell they were old. The flashlight shined against the gray and brown stone, revealing tiny beads of water. As he rounded the stairs, he noticed they stopped 3 more steps down into cement. What was this? He waved the beam around the dark and screamed at what popped in his vision. Before him stood a large dog. His lips were peeled back, exposing his sharp, off-white fangs. His eyes were fixed right at Danny. He looked rabid. His fur was dirty. Danny turned to run and smacked into the stone. A sharp pain shot through his face as he hit the ground below him. He grabbed his nose and felt a hot liquid dripping down his lip. He fumbled for a moment, disoriented, searching for his flashlight. It had rolled away. Any second now, the rabid dog would make a hearty meal of him if he didn't escape. He quickly jumped to his feet, ready to run, when suddenly a sharp, blinding light flashed the room to life. Danny stood there, momentarily confused. "Danny!" his mother yelled from the stairs. "Mom, run! There's a dog down here!" he yelled, running towards the stairs. Sarah met him at the bottom, and he went crashing into her stomach. He pushed with all his might to get her to go, but she resisted. "Danny? Danny! Stop! It's not a dog. Look, turn around," she said. He turned his head and was alarmed at what lay before him. The room was full of animals. Dogs, cats, a giant bear, foxes, and a few bobcats. "What is this?" he asked, alarmed. It looks like a taxidermy room," she replied. "What's that?" "It's where someone stuffs and preserves animals as trophies. Usually hunters collect the animals they kill like this." "Why would anyone want that in their house?" "The question is, why a farmer would have all this stuff down here." "It's okay, Danny. They're dead, see?" Sarah walked over to the so-called vicious dog Danny was running from a few moments ago and poked its fur. Danny dropped his shoulders and relaxed a bit. His nose was still throbbing, though. The bleeding had stopped. "Baby, you're bleeding. Are you okay?" Sarah asked, concerned. "I'm fine. Can we leave this place? I don't like it down here," he asked. "Yeah, why don't we make some sandwiches and take a break? We can finish this up later." Danny nodded in approval at his mother, and they made their way upstairs. She reached up on the opposite wall Danny had touched and turned the lights off, then shut the door behind them. ToMmY, a Portland, Maine series by Medic Man, Part 2. Well, folks, that's our story tonight. Rotherick and I hope you enjoyed it. We sure had a great time bringing it to you, and we really appreciate you listening. Tune in next week when we bring you another chilling Tales from the Dark Chamber. And just a note, if you're an aspiring author and want your story read here on Tales from the Dark Chamber, send us a note at talesfromthedarkchamber@gmail.com. If it creeps old Rotherick out enough, we'll air it. And subscribe to our channel here for notification of our next new episode, and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Remember, hit that like button and help us grow the channel. Also, make sure you tell your friends about us. Spread the word. If you want your story recorded for your own use, or just want to have it, check out my website at woodygvoiceover.net. You can order there. And again, thank you for listening tonight.